This lesson we'll go over how to factor quadratics, and we'll look at some of the key things that we need to use when we are factoring quadratics. So when we start off, when we factor our quadratics, we're going to put these in binomials. So remember, when you multiply binomials, you use the FOIL method, and you actually came out with this expression if you used it correctly. Well, now we're doing the reverse. We're putting it back into the binomial format. So let's start here. Let's go ahead and put our parentheses, and we're going to go ahead and put this in binomial format. So I have the two parentheses. And so when we start off, we want to look at our signs. We have two plus signs up here. We look at the second sign first, this sign right here, and it represents positive. That means that tells us what we're going to have inside our parentheses. But this is the sign that you're going to multiply together to get the 32. So you're going to have factors that you have to multiply to get 32. Okay, so that's why I'm putting the multiplication symbol above the 32. Those same factors should add together to get 12. All right, so it's good for us to list out the factors so we can see which factors we need to get 32, but those same factors have to add together to get 12. Now, after we look at the second sign, which is plus, we look at the first sign here, and that determines whether it's going to be a plus inside of our binomials or a minus inside our binomials. Now just remember this. You can multiply two positives together to get a positive, right? And you can also multiply two negatives together to get a positive. But this first sign inside of our quadratic lets us know that we're going to use two positives. Okay? So just to be clear there, we're going to use two positives. So let's do that now. We're going to put two plus signs inside of here because look at our 32 is positive. So when we multiply our factors together, we're going to get a positive 32. Now, look at the x squared. We have x to the second power here, right? That means that we have to put two x's or one x in front of both of our binomials. All right, now let's list out the multiples of 32. What numbers, or should I say the factors of 32, what numbers do we multiply together to get 32? We can start off with 1. 1 times 32 would give us 32. 2 times 16 would give us 32. 3 times, well, no, not 3. How about 4? 4 times 8 would give us 32. 5, 6, 7, 8 again, so we're back at 8. 9, 10, 11, we can stop there. All right, now, each one of these factors, 1 times 32, 2 times 16, and 4 times 8, would all give us 32 if we multiply it. But which one of those factors, when we add them together, will give us 12? All right, if you said 4 and 8, you would be correct. So that lets us know what factors we're going to put inside of our binomials here. So it's going to be x plus 4, and times x plus 8. All right, and of course, you should take the time to go back and check to make sure it's correct. Do not skip out on a few seconds and get it wrong. You want to go back and check. So use the FOIL method. X times x, what's x times x is x squared. X times 8 is 8x. 4 times x is 4x, and then 4 times 8 is 32. Combine like terms for the terms that are alike, and 8x plus 4x is 12x. And we have 32. Now, check the original and see if they match. X squared plus 12x plus 32. And if we go back to the beginning, yes, they do match. X squared plus 12x plus 32 is correct. Okay, so this is when the signs would be the same. But let's check one of these factoring quadratics now when the signs are going to be different. So let's do that now. Let's put it up here. We have x squared plus 8x minus 9. All right, as I mentioned before, and we are putting this in binomials, so we're factoring into binomials. As I mentioned before, we're going to start off by looking at this second sign. Notice that it is a negative, okay? All right, so that means that we can look at the first sign also. But if the sign is negative, that means that inside of our binomials, that the signs are going to have to be different. That means one is going to have to be plus and one is going to have to be minus, all right? So let's work it out now. So we first list out our factors of 9. What are the factors of, we'll just say the factors of negative 9 since there's a negative 9 there. What are the factors of negative 9? We can have negative 1 times 9. What else? Is there anything else? We can flip it and say negative 9 times 1. What about negative 3 times 3? Is there anything else? Negative 3 times 3. All right, now, there is nothing else, correct? All right, so, well, we can't flip. If you flip negative 3 times 3, it will still be negative 3 times 3. All right, so which one of these terms can we, which one of these factors can we add together to get a positive 8x? If you said negative 1 times 9, you would be correct. So that pretty much lets you know what sign is going to go in the first binomial, what sign is going to go in the second binomial. So let's try it out now. So first, we're going to start with the x squared. We'll put the minus sign in here. We'll put the plus sign here. We'll start with the x squared. We'll put x in x in front of our binomials. And we said it's going to be a negative 1 times 9. So we'll put our 1 here and we'll put our 9 here. Let's check and see if we'll come up with the same quadratic that we had in the beginning, which is x squared plus 8x minus 9. So x times x is x squared. X times 9 is 9x. Negative 1 times x is a negative x. And negative 1 times 9 is a negative 9. Combined like terms, we have x squared. 9x minus 1x is a positive 8x. And minus 9 is what we have. And let's just go back up here and see if that's the same. Now, here is something to try. What if we were to switch the signs around? Will we get the same answer? And you know, you have to do some investigation in math. You got to be curious to know and do some trial and error to see if it works the other way around. All right, so let's see. If we change that minus 1 to a plus 1 and this plus 9 to a minus 9, yes, we will still get a negative 9, but will we still get a positive 8x? Let's check and see. All right, so we have x times x, which is x squared. Outer would be x times a negative 9, which is a negative 9x. And then 1 times x will give us a positive 1x. And then 1 times a negative 9 will give us a negative 9. Combine like terms together. Let's combine like terms together. We have x. Wait a second. The screen is not participating. All right, so what do we get? We have x squared. And we have a negative 9x plus 1x. Well, that will give us a negative 8x. And then we have minus 9. Okay, now let's go back and see, is that what we had in the original? No, we had a positive 8x in the original. We had x squared plus 8x minus 9. So x squared plus 8x minus 9 was the original. So the sign placement is very important. So we have to get used to, just like when I went over here to the factors, I said negative 1 times 9 would give me that negative 9. I started off with that first. So that made sure that we would get the same answer in our quadratic that we had in the original, okay? So using the FOIL method, multiplying binomials, you go back to check your answer, and you should have what you had in the original, which is x squared plus 8x minus 9. All right, so this has been another lesson on factoring quadratics or factoring trinomials. I will see you on the next lesson. Kwaheri.